This podcast is sponsored by Uncomfortable Ideas by Bo Bennett, PhD. Challenge your beliefs and embrace the uncomfortable. Discover the power of confronting ideas that push your boundaries. Get the book or enroll in the online course today at uncomfortable-ideas.com.
The uncomfortable truth about political corruption and why it matters. Political corruption runs deep, shaking public trust and effectiveness. Explore why embracing discomfort can spark real change in government institutions. Political corruption, why it feels like the system is rigged. Have you ever sat back and just thought, man, can I really trust the people running this whole government thing? It's a nagging feeling for a lot of us these days, especially with all the headlines about politicians getting caught up in scandals, money swapping hands under the table, or making deals that seem totally disconnected from the public interest. At the heart of it lies systemic political corruption, when corruption isn't just a few bad apples, but something woven into the very fabric of how government institutions function. It's no secret that this kind of corruption deeply undermines public trust and the overall effectiveness of government. But what's bugging me, and probably a lot of folks, is that we hardly ever talk about it openly, except in uncomfortable conversations. So what exactly does systemic corruption look like? It's not just a bribe here or a scandal there. This is about entrenched behaviours and structures that favour the powerful, allowing them to bend rules for their own benefit, while making it harder for average people to hold them accountable. Lobbyists with deep pockets get easier access and more influence than everyday voters. Campaign financing can feel like legalised bribery. Politicians might pass laws that protect themselves or their allies rather than their constituents. And guess what? It becomes a vicious cycle. The system feeds back into itself, discouraging outsiders or reformers who want to truly shake things up, making challenging the status quo an uphill battle. What really cracks me up is how we, as the public, sometimes slide into complacency. It's easier to tune out, to blame the other side, or to just shrug and say, well, that's politics. But if we're honest with ourselves, this isn't normal or acceptable. It's an uncomfortable truth that embracing discomfort is necessary if we want any shot at real change. And that means getting familiar with what the system actually looks like from different perspectives, even if those perspectives challenge what we believe or want to hear. It reminds me of something I recently read in the book Uncomfortable Ideas by Bo Bennett, PhD. The whole point is to provoke thought and help us understand that confronting offensive topics or inconvenient realities is the first step toward meaningful dialogue and improvement. Political corruption is definitely one of those topics most people prefer to avoid, but that avoidance only lets the problem fester. It's important to understand that this isn't just about pointing fingers or conspiracy theories. It's about recognizing patterns and structures that shape the incentives and behaviors of government officials. We need to ask questions like, why do big corporations and interest groups have such outsized influence in politics? Why does campaign finance reform stall despite popular demand? How do laws meant to protect the public sometimes end up protecting those in power instead? By challenging these questions and not settling for easy answers, we start to crack open what's usually hidden behind closed doors. I know these conversations aren't always fun, they're messy and often offensive to some, but they're absolutely necessary. They push us to think critically rather than blindly accept whatever spin we get from politicians or the media. And here is a thought. Effective change probably won't come from just one reform or a single election cycle. It's about sustained pressure, increased transparency, holding officials accountable, and giving the public better tools to understand and question what's happening behind the scenes. That's why educating ourselves is key to embracing discomfort rather than running from it. So, if you want to challenge your own views and get comfortable with uncomfortable truths, I highly recommend checking out Uncomfortable Ideas by Bo Bennett, PhD. It's a thought-provoking work that pushes us to understand different perspectives, especially on topics that most people don't dare to question. Explore the book now, and maybe you'll find yourself better prepared to engage in these vital conversations, not just about political corruption, but about many other issues that shape our world. Because at the end of the day, if we want a government that truly serves the people instead of special interests, we've got to be willing to talk openly about the hard stuff. No more pretending the system works perfectly, no more silence when things feel wrong. Let's start embracing discomfort and push for a healthier, more transparent political landscape, one uncomfortable conversation at a time.